phones. You're not selling anything.
The Fed's not done, and I'm going to tell you why.
Welcome back to Sean's show, everyone. Episode 48. Almost 50 of these fucking things in the can. So thanks for joining. If you're a new listener, thank you. If you're an old listener, I don't know why you're still listening to this shit. No. It's been a good week. I was in Seattle. I was in Seattle and Portland for some shows. They were very good. I gotta say that everything that people say about San Francisco is true about Portland and false about San Francisco. Like the fentanyl and the drug, the homelessness, and the ideas that people have out there are, I really, as someone who has the privilege of going to like almost every city in America, I get to see firsthand what these cities are like. And, it's just and it really makes me, I want to emphasize like how wrong the news is and how wrong your friends are about these cities. People love to trash. They love to trash San Francisco and say that it's a cesspool, it's a shithole. Guys, San Francisco is much worse. No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. There are parts where you shouldn't go. There are parts, but that's true of any city. Like you can't just be so myopic about that when it comes to San Francisco. And I go there every 3 months, and like but people have these criticisms of San Francisco. They go, oh, everyone there wants a revolution. Everyone in San Francisco wants to kill and eat the rich. It's not true. San Francisco, everyone there is rich, or even the homeless are rich. The homeless have iPhones. The homeless have the iPhone 14 or the fucking newest iPhone is. It's not like that. But those things are true, I think, of Portland. I was just there. That city is fucking crazy. And I'm not just going to go on a tirade and dunk on it because they have ideologies on the left. I'm not going to do that. It's not even a political thing. It's just mental illness. And I would say there are similar things that are true about that place and rural towns in the South, small rural towns. Portland and small rural towns in the South have a lot in common. They have a group of people that is very strongly believes things about this country and about where this country should go, where America should go in the future, or whether or not America should exist at all. And it's just scary. It's a scary place. I think like they both want a revolution. They both want to storm. Like people think, oh, storm the Capitol. That's a thing that Republicans do. No, like it's just crazy people. It's not a left-right thing. In an alternate timeline, it could have just as easily been the Portland vegans that stormed the Capitol. That could have just as easily happened. It's not like those are more well-rounded, grounded people. They just didn't get there in time. That's really the only thing that happened. And it's just, I was doing some shows. They were very fun shows, but like I was doing a joke, and I know I don't talk about comedy a lot. I know this is a road story, but I was doing a show and I made a joke. And then at the end of the joke, I'm like, obviously murder's bad. Like I said something like that. And then like half the audience clapped and half the audience starts booing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you believe out here? It's crazy. And I was like, you guys are like, I'm going to leave that for your headliner. You guys are wrong. Here's what happened. I was like, murder is bad. Killing is bad. And then some guy in the crowd yells, depends on who you kill. And I'm like, no, actually, no, it doesn't. It's bad. Full stop. It's bad to kill people. And That's why Portland's. And then I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of this city. And I'm driving back to the hotel, and I'm at a red light, and there's a Popeyes on the corner of this intersection, downtown Portland. And my window's open. I'm listening to Free Ride by the Edward Winter Group. I think the Edgar Winter Group, whatever the fuck that band is. I'm having a great time. I'm like, fuck this city. I'm getting out of here. And then I hear like a massive fucking explosion from the pot. This is true. This is like literally, I'm not exaggerating at all here. I hear like a light flash out of the corner of my eye. I look over, and I think someone was like lighting off like a fucking M80. You know those like cherry bomb fireworks that are like, you send them into the sky and they like set off all the car alarms. Like, someone lit an M80 firework on the ground outside of this Popeyes. Maybe maybe it was PETA. I don't know. Maybe it was PETA. Maybe they were protesting the killing of chickens. I don't know. But they lit this firework and it exploded. And I'm like, it takes me a while to process it. I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And then I like drive around the corner. And this is how I know Portland's going to shit. I drive around the corner, processing this fireworks that just some guy, I thought it was like a fucking terrorist attack. Like, I literally thought it was like a actual bomb. But I drive around the corner, I get on the phone with 911 because I am a Karen. A lot of people I know would have just driven away and forgotten about it. I called the cops. Because I'm a Karen, and I happen to think that that's wrong. And that's the thing that Karens don't get credit for. Sometimes being a Karen is the right thing to do. Sometimes snitching is the right thing to do. I was out, and when this firework exploded, call me crazy, call me a bootlicking asshole, call me a bureaucratic scumbag, but I happen to think that when a firework explodes outside of a restaurant, I happen to think that that's not okay. And I happen to think we should live in a world where we just don't let that happen. And so maybe everyone said I was overreacting. I don't think I was overreacting at all. I think everyone else was underreacting, and we're desensitized to crazy shit now because we see it on the news all day. So this firework goes off. I'm on the phone with 911, and I'm on hold. And I keep going on hold. I'm on hold. And they're like, please don't hang up. We may not be able to send someone to help you if you hang up. So I'm on hold. They're playing like, I was on hold with the 911. I was in Portland. I called 911. A firework exploded. And I call it. And the hold music is like Krongbin. They're playing they're playing like indie music on the 911 hold. I finally get to a person. Finally, a woman answers 911. She's like, 911, what's your emergency? And I'm like, yeah, a firework exploded. I'm pretty sure it was an M80 or maybe it was a bomb. I don't know. But a firework exploded outside of a Popeyes. I might have hearing damage. I would go check it out. And she's like, okay, we'll send an officer over. Thanks. And I'm like, she doesn't even ask more about the situation. She's like, okay, we'll send someone out there. Like, that's a normal occurrence. And then I heard another one. Then I heard a second one explode. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, it's like, I'm sure it was just, looking back, now I know it was just some scumbag teenagers having fun, or maybe it was Antifa. I don't know. Maybe it was the Proud Boys. We don't know. It could have been either side. But in the moment, it just was crazy. And like, I called my girlfriend and she was like, just relax, just go to the hotel, just get away from the situation. I'm like, people just don't care. And people, I texted my friend that I was doing the shows with, and like, I was like, dude, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, we just drove away. I'm like, do we not care about like that? I gotta say, that experience made me a Republican. Going to Portland and seeing a firework explode in my face, like a huge boom, made me a God-fearing Republican. That made me want to put poor people in jail. That truly, no, I'm joking, but it was crazy. But maybe they're mad. Maybe they're mad about the debate, which we're going to get to shortly here. But I had a great trip, and I will be putting out some clips and stuff from the shows. So if you guys are interested, follow me on Instagram, Sean Riley Comedy, to check out some comedy clips I want to be putting out from those shows. I'm an AI engineer who's very fun. I talked with him about AI and where that's going, and it's not good. So I had a fun interaction, but where it's going is not fun. I'll just say that much. But I hope you enjoyed the debate. I think everyone has already sort of had a take on the debate. I know I'm a little bit late with my take on the debate, but I don't know. I like to have a few days to ingest things and read. I don't know. There's something to be said about just reacting live, but I like to have a little bit of time to ingest it and process it, because it's easy to have a knee-jerk reaction. But I think the debate was fun. I had fun. It was fun. It was just a podcast. I don't know if you guys, and I'm sure like you've heard a million takes on the debate already. So I want to do something a little different. I want to look at it like this. I mean, it was a podcast episode. Like, that's all it was. It was CNN producing a podcast for two old senile men. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, my jaw dropped. I don't know if you guys watched the whole thing. I watched it start to finish. My jaw dropped, I think 4 or 5 times. But it's like my jaw dropped, and then I was like, oh, right, like this is what America is now. My jaw dropped, and I immediately picked it up because I was like, oh yeah, like I don't have the right to be surprised by any of this now. I mean, it's getting to a point where, I want to move into the forest. Like, I want to be away from society because it could just get so bad so fast. I feel like we've really had it easy. Other than 9/11 lately in the last 20 years. But other than that, Americans, we've really had it easy. We haven't been really, there's been no mandatory draft. We've had a lot of amazing innovations like Ozempic, and fentanyl, all these amazing inventions. And we take it for granted. We take for granted how good we have it in America. And I don't think anyone that's like younger than 50 or 60 even has known known life under a shitty government. Like, it's just been we've had it so good for so long. Or at least I have. I got lucky. I was born in Silicon Valley. But a lot, even the poor, it's like there's not been like abject suffering. Surely there are people in this country that have it very bad. But I don't think people are realizing like how bad how fast it could collapse. And that debate made me want to, the presidential debate made me want to buy a fucking gun. That's what it did. It makes me want to buy a gun and food rations because the end is near. And with water and like a water strainer and like, I don't know, a hat. Like, it really scared me. It was scary. And that's the thing is like people like, yeah, part of me is like, well, why are you surprised? This is what our country is now. But then part of me is like, no, like we have the right to be scared of this shit. It's okay to be scared that our 2 presidential candidates are 2 senile old men that will have the nuclear codes. It's okay to be afraid of that. And I don't like that people are robbing us of our emotions. All of these like so emotionless, callous, autistic men on the internet are being like, why are you even surprised that Trump and Biden, why are you even surprised by the debate? I'm not surprised. I'm pissing and shitting my pants. That's what I'm doing. I'm pissing and shitting my pants because one of these men will run the country. And that is a scary thought, and it's coming in the future. But one thing that was very interesting about the debate, if you were following it, was that historically, I believe this debate was the earliest a debate has ever happened in an election cycle. And that was really interesting. A lot of and people are thinking like, oh, well, why did it happen so early in the cycle? And some people are saying some people are saying that it was so that they can filter out Joe Biden more quickly and replace him. And that is a theory that I happen to believe, because I am going to look this up. First debate in federal election cycle. I want to look this up because let's see here. So it happened June 27th, right? I mean, this is from 6 days ago. How might the earliest presidential debate ever affect the election? So it happened 131 days ahead of November 5th. And so check this out. This is crazy. The previous earliest debate took place in the 1980 election cycle. It was Ronald Reagan against John Anderson, whose name has been lost to history. And that first debate happened on September 21st. So we had the first debate in June. And you can't tell me that that's a fucking, like, there's a meaning behind everything. And like, that is so obvious to me that it's like, clearly they're trying to get rid of this asshole. You know what I think happened? Here's probably what happened. Because Joe Biden spent a week in like a secluded camp before this debate preparing. I think what happened is he pissed his pants, or he probably had a number of things happen, senior moments, couldn't remember what day, whatever, that were really freaking out, that really terrified the people in the Democratic Party that were his advisors, his team. And I think what they did, even prior to this, they probably went into the war room and brainstormed the solution. And it's very smart. This is actually very smart of them. They said, what if we push up the first debate to June? Because people don't know people are so unaware of time now. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know what time is anymore. And like, when the debate happened, I was like, at first I was like, oh, I guess it's election season, right? But something in me was like, wait a minute, isn't it a little early? And then like, yeah, it's happening in fucking June versus September. I mean, we're talking about like June, July, August. We're talking about like a 3-month difference. And yeah, the whole reason was so that the public would see how senile he is, so that it would give the Democrats another 3 months to sell another candidate to the American public. And that's what's happening. What's happening is we're going to be sold a new candidate. I mean, it's already happening today. They're talking about, the media slowly pitching us this idea that Joe Biden's reconsidering. At first it was Joe Biden's not going to leave the race. Now it's, Joe Biden they're reconsidering and he may or may not leave the race. And now we're going to be sold. It's going to be Gavin Newsom. It's going to be Kamala Harris. It's going to be probably one of those two. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm scared. Again, I've never voted. I'm not trying to take sides here. I'm just commenting. I'm not trying to take sides. But I've never voted and I never will. So just let me get that straight. I know I'm ducking on the Democrats a lot right now. I do happen to think that Trump is going to win. Trump is going to win again. And again, I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not pro-Biden. I'm pro-asteroid. You ever see the bumper stickers? Giant asteroid 2024. That's what I want. Like, I want humanity to end. But if I'm just looking at it objectively, it's either going to be another 4 years of Trump, or we're gonna have a civil war. It could be both. I mean, it's literally gonna be a civil, like, maybe maybe I was being dramatic in Portland. Maybe I'm being dramatic right now. I happen to think that it will be a civil war. Is that too, it sounds crazy to say that because we've never had one. Well, we have had one, obviously, but like not in our lifetime is my point. But I really think that it could happen. I really think that, like, you know, we're gonna, whatever side doesn't win is gonna be storming the Capitol. Guys, I was in Portland. I've met those people. You don't think that they can't get their dad's credit card and take a flight to DC and storm the Capitol? You're wrong. They have that power, and they will. They have the means, they have the motive, and they have the opportunity. Motive, opportunity, whatever. You know how it goes. So what's crazy? I mean, that's kind of, I'm still digesting it. I really am. You know, here's a fun thing to do with like debates, or really anytime, even podcasts. It's fun to like pick apart the way people speak. So this is fun. If you go to the debate and open up the transcript for the debate, if you control F, control find, and type in the phrase, the idea that, you will find that Joe Biden said that phrase over like 20 or 30 times. You know, that's kind of the way he talks. He's like, the idea that, and number one, that's number one. The idea that Medicare doesn't work is crazy. That's number one. And number two, that's, you know, he's on like a loop. He's on a loop, you know, the idea that, you know, they're both crazy. They both said crazy shit. Then they talk about their golf swing. I mean, like, the golf sequence in the debate was my favorite part of the debate. I mean, that is really what it means to be an American president. You know, because if you know, people are really missing the main point of the debate, which was that Trump has a better golf swing than Biden. That is really, guys, I'm a single issue voter. I know a lot of people out there are single issue voters. My single issue is who has a better golf swing and who has a lower par. Or excuse me, who has a lower handicap. That's who I'm voting for. You can put any candidate in front of me. I'll vote a third party. Here's how you should decide. Shit is fucked up. Shit is fucked up in America. Here's how you should decide who you should vote for the president of the United States. It's very simple. You just look up each candidate's handicap on their 18-hole golf game, and that's who you vote for, is whoever has the lowest handicap. Because at this point, I don't know how else to measure these candidates. On their policies, they don't get anything done. They don't do anything. You say, well, Trump elected 3 conservative justices to the Supreme Court. That's not getting things done. It's so easy to do that. That was lucky. The Supreme Court it's really not even under the purview of the presidency. It's, you know, and to be a single issue voter for the Supreme Court's crazy. We're going to get to the Supreme Court, by the way. There's a lot of crazy shit that happened with the Supreme Court in the last week. And, you know, isn't it very funny that the Supreme Court has ruled on all this stuff right before Joe Biden leaves the office? And that's not a coincidence, you know, and it's not a coincidence that happens. It's not a coincidence that that on the last day of the president's office, he also usually will do the exonerations of criminal sentences. He'll do the I forgot what it's called. Let's see. I forgot the word. Pardons. Thank you. He'll pardon people at the end of their sentences. And it's not a coincidence because it's very unpopular to like let people out of jail. So that's what they do at the end of the sentence. So I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a wild time. I'm very excited. I want to keep following it. I mean, this was This was from this morning, I think. Let's take a look here. So Biden told ally he was weighing options. Polls show slipping support. I mean, it's going to be Kamala or Newsom. It's going to be Kamala or Newsom. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know among those two. I don't know which way you're going to go. If you're a voter, I think if you're a listener to this, if you listen to the show, you probably don't vote because you're either a felon or not a citizen of the United States, which I love. Those are my real people. My real fans are felons and people that are not U.S. citizens, and I love you guys. If you're a U.S. citizen and listening to this, just turn it off. I really don't want you as a listener. It's cringe. It's cringe. That's really my take. If you're listening to the debate and you're thinking about who you're going to vote for and you're a U.S. citizen, it's cringe. Have you not moved to Sweden? I moved to Sweden. I fly in every week to film the show in New York. You think I live here? I'm a dual citizen of Sweden and Myanmar. You think I live here? You're crazy. I like the food here. I just come visit once a week for the food. I'm a Bitcoin billionaire. You think I'm going to waste my time voting in an election? I have much better things to do. One more. I know I'm kind of focusing on the election too much, but here's what actually, okay, I'm glad we're talking. Here's what really fucking pisses me off. So and you know, this has been said before, but it's the illusion of choice. It's a two-party system and it's retarded. It's a two-party system. We don't get to choose. It's the you know that meme where it's like two different doors and they go to the same fucking room? It's that. That's American politics. And then the third door is RFK, and that just runs into a wall. You run into a fucking wall. There's two doors that go to the same room. Trump and Biden go to the same room. Then if you try to go RFK, the third door, you get your brain eaten by worms. That's what happens. That's where we're at right now. Or you don't vote and you get criticized by everyone in your life for being an asshole and anti-democratic. Maybe I am anti-democratic. You know, people are like, well, oh, you don't want to vote for a president? Maybe don't you believe in democracy? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't, because democracy got us here, and I don't like here. Maybe fascism is the way to go. Maybe we should be like the French and go back to fascism. Maybe we need race. No, kidding. I'm joking, guys. I don't know. So Biden is, if Biden drops out again, the Democratic, I believe it's one of the House Democrats, Jim Clyburn. Have you heard of this guy, Jim Clyburn? No, I don't. Maybe you're really into politics. I'd never heard of this guy, but like these nameless, faceless people, they are the people that decide who we are allowed to choose. The DNC, the RNC, they pre-filter the candidates, and then we get to choose among the pre-filtered candidates that they have already greenlit. That's the way it works. So don't tell me that, like, to vote for a lesser of evils. Suck my fucking dick. I wanted to vote for a candidate that you already filtered out. So why am I going to play your fucking game if you're going to bend the rules like that? Here's an interesting, here's from Reuters. Jim Clyburn, a kingmaker of sorts within the Democratic Party and who was instrumental in Biden's 2020 win, told CNN on Wednesday that the party should hold a, quote, mini primary if Biden steps aside. The first senior party member to talk publicly about how exactly replacing Biden as a candidate would work. So they're trying to replace him. And like, it's not like we get to vote. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know how all this shit in the specifics works, but like, maybe we would. I mean, are we going to like, Clyburn said that he would back Vice President Kamala Harris as president if Biden were to depart. So listen to the way this fucking guy talks. He goes, if she were to be the nominee, we need to have a running mate and a strong running mate. And so all of this would give us an opportunity, not just to measure up who would be good to be at the top of the ticket, but also who would be best in second place. He's talking about it like he himself gets to choose. He's talking about it like I would order a hamburger. He's talking about it like, we'll be like, yeah, I think I'm going to get a cheeseburger and I think I'm going to get some bacon and maybe even some grilled onions. Like, he's talking about it as if he is the singular guy that gets to choose who is going to lead the Democratic Party. And I'm sorry I'm being very political this episode, but like, it's just, it's crazy. Harris is likely to be the successor if Biden steps aside. Michigan Governor Whitmer, Newsom, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. I like that name. Josh Shapiro. So there's lots of Democratic governors that could maybe replace Biden. But anyway, I'm exhausted. That's enough of that. But like, you know, it's more of the same. It's just more of the same. It's we get to choose from a pre-selected group of senile, dementia riddled assholes. So let's go to France. Let's go somewhere more fun. Let's go to France where they have sex and they smoke. And I know I joked about fascism being the way to go. There's actually not, maybe that's also not good. I don't know if you follow French politics, probably not. But if you do, there's a young gentleman, a 28-year-old gentleman who is the leading the far right party in France, and he could become the next prime minister of France. And this is an interesting story. So the what he's doing, what's different about this guy? He's on TikTok. And it's very important that the next generation of fascist leaders, it's very important that they're on TikTok. Because that's how you reach people. That's how you reach people these days. You have to be on TikTok. I mean, let me just read you some of the things this guy believes. This guy is very scary. It's very scary. So again, you know, France is, let me just back up a little bit. You know, populism is on the rise around the whole globe, and it's in a lot of ways it's a scary trend, you know, because you have, but a lot of the it's scary because, you know, these people, when they get power, you end up, you know, they're Hitler-esque figures, you know, you end up with concentration, you end up with a lot of fucked up shit. But the rise of it is really not totally unfounded when you have, you know, unlimited, you know, and again, I'm not taking sides on this, but I'm just saying, like, I think what the left doesn't understand is that the reason these populist figures are getting so popular is because of the fear mongering that the right does. And they fearmonger about immigration. I like immigration. I like immigration. It's cool. Honestly, I think a lot of terrorism is homegrown. I do think that, like, we should be more worried about white school shooters than fucking Arab terrorists in America. That's a bigger problem. And turn on the news. Any day you turn on the news, you're going to see a fucking school shooting. And so I think that the concern about a lot of immigration around the world into these Western countries, a lot of it is unfounded, and they take one story and they blow it out of proportion. You know what I mean? But it doesn't change the fact that it gets the right angry, and it gets the nationalist, patriotic people, the religious zealot, patriotic people on the right of any country's political spectrum. It still gets them angry. You know? And so that is the impetus behind these populists being elected. And you know what helps? Being hot. I mean, this guy, France is going to elect like a hot fascist. And it's scary. I mean, it's going to be, I mean, this guy's, I'm not even gay. And this guy's, I would bottom this guy. I'd let this guy come inside me. You know, he's gorgeous. I'll add a little. He's gorgeous. Just look at his face. Look at this guy's face. He's hot. He's hot and he's racist. And that's why the French love him, because the French are idiots. This guy, no, it's scary. Here's what he happens to think about other cultures. Here's what the right's French candidate happens to think about culture and cultural mixing. Ready? So here's a quote from the Journal. When a panelist interjected asking Bardella if he was, quote, talking about skin color, Bardella replied, quote, I'm talking about culture, the implanting on our soil of a civilization with whom we share nothing. Those are the words of a fascist that wants to kill people. Here's the test for whether or not, no one really knows what the word fascist means anymore. The word fascist is thrown around by everyone. The right calls the left fascist. The left calls the right fascist. The center calls the center fascist. Here's my definition of the word fascist. It's a very simple definition. It's a hot guy that uses the word soil. It's a hot young man who uses the word culture, soil, mixing, and blending. It's that simple. Every fascist president, leader, dictator in history has been a young, hot man at some point that uses the word soil to describe their country. Soil, blood for soil, whatever. I don't even these white supremacists use that word. It's scary. So what's different about this guy Bardella? The difference is he's on TikTok. And he's sort of been strategically entering the political stage since a very young age. So Bardella started dating one of Le Pen's nieces, and Le Pen, she was the previous. I don't know who Le Pen. I'm not a fucking expert, guys, but he was dating a niece of one of the political leaders in France. And a lot of young people are very into Jordan. Jordan Bardella is his name. Young people who were not interested in politics before are now paying attention. He knows what he's talking about. He's convincing. So here's what he's going to promise. Ready? Business leaders want to know how Bardella was going to fund his plans to slash France's tax from 22 to 5%, 5.5% on fuel and electricity. He's going to cut back France's contribution to the EU and crack down on immigration. And he also said that he's trying to get people to allow people to retire before or at 60 years old, but said, I'm not going to sell you things that I won't be able to do. That's very smart. I don't know. He's like, it's just history repeats itself, and it's scary. It's just scary to see. It's scary to see what's happening. And could I look up the statistics for immigration into France? Yeah, I could. I'm not, but I'm lazy, and you can do your own research. I do my own research on the show. But I don't know whether it be France, and actually there's another component to the story that's really important that we talk about. So this is from Vice. I thought Vice went bankrupt. I guess they didn't go bankrupt. But this is from Vice. You ready? Nazi drugs are sweeping across Europe. This is from Vice. Is it possible that we're seeing Europe's far right surge play out through the designs of party drugs? According to Dr. Zoe Dubis, a researcher specializing in psychotropic drugs, Nazi branded pills are, quote, starting to circulate in France and have been spotted since early 2024 in Switzerland, Iceland, and Holland. So they're putting like swastikas on ecstasy pills and 2CB, which is a research chemical that I happened to ingest long ago. Mine didn't have a swastika on it. Mine had a John Lennon on it. I'm a nice guy. When I did acid and ecstasy, John Lennon was on those pills, not a fucking swat. You guys are fucking losers. We don't know yet where exactly the branded pills are coming from, but there are several different manufacturers made by very amateur chemists. I mean, it's pretty scary because who uses ecstasy and acid? It's young kids. It's young, hip Gen Z. Young, hip Gen Z people in all over Europe seemingly are using Nazi branded ecstasy pills. Like, and that's the real problem with like being it's, and again, that's I want to bring it back to the Portland versus Waco. That's how I describe it. Like, Portland and Waco have a lot in common. They have a lot of people that are not college educated. They have a lot of people that just love to do drugs. And a lot of people in both of those cities want to see the White House on fire. They want to see the government burn. And they want to see they want to see violence. They love violence. Portland and Waco love violence. These places are not that different. It's just different flavors of the same ideologies, and it's the same ideology. It's the same ideology, which is, I want to kill the people that don't look like me so I can create a world in the future that's peaceful. It's white nationalists and vegan nationalists. Happen to be different nations that they want. Waco wants America and Portland wants, I don't know. No nations. They want to, whatever. But in Europe is just so, all over Europe, it's not just Europe. I think it's all over the country, all over the world. But you're seeing, these, it's just crazy. It's crazy that there are young hipster French, like 21-year-old fashions forward, cigarette smoking French partiers that are dropping acid with a fucking swastika on it. It's crazy. And they think that it's like ironic. Here's a message. There's nothing look, and I'm saying this as a comedian that loves irony. Wearing a swastika, and even ironically, it's not cool. It's not alt. You're not cool. You're not. You're Nazi. It's like when you say something ironically and then you start saying it for real. Like I used to say swag ironically because swag, when I was in middle school, swag was like cool for 2 months, and then everyone's like, dude, you still say swag? And I started to say it ironically, and then I started saying it for real, and I realized I couldn't stop saying it. I was like, oh my God, I say swag like actually now. Like, oh, swag. Like that was... So the same type of thing can happen with fascism. You're like ironically joking about fascism with your friends, and you're like dropping acid with a swastika. Oh, isn't it so crazy? I'm doing ecstasy and it has a fucking Hitler's name on the pill. Isn't that funny? It's not funny. It's not. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I'm saying it's bad. Here's an ecstasy pill with the fucking SS lightning bolts on it. I mean, what is going on in Europe? Let's see here. The trend exists in an interesting context. Far-right parties have made massive gains in Europe of late, spurred by a grim uptick in youth support. So the Utes, Joe Pesci, these two Utes are doing acid with swastikas on it, Your Honor. These two Utes. In Germany, 16% of under 25s voted for the Alternative for Germany, AfD, in the EU elections. I assume that's the far-right party. Triple the number for the same election in 2019. The RN, the National Rally in France, was the most popular party for people aged below 34, increasing 10 points to 32% of the vote for that demographic. Poland. So you really have a populism on the rise globally with Trump, with populist leaders in Europe. I assume a similar thing is happening in China and Asia, but we don't know. And it's really it's scary. And it's like, it's not a joke. And it's like, it takes more labor to brand drugs with far right symbols. So you can't tell me that they're doing it because it sells better. It's scary. It's just very it's concerning. But we'll move on from politics. I know I spent too much time on that. But let's move on. Let's go over across the pond. Let's go back to America. And how about some good news? Here's some good news. Costco is building housing. That's good news, right? Costco is building an 800-unit apartment complex in a bid to ease the housing crisis. You know your country's fucking fucked when one of the multinational conglomerates thinks that housing is, even they think housing is bad. You know that your economy and the way you structured your society is an absolute bleak fucking endless nightmare of horror when Costco is entering the real estate market to build housing to help themselves. Because we're not talking about a nonprofit. We're talking about Costco. Literally, Costco is stepping in for something that either the government or the real estate market should be providing. They're building housing because they've been so successful that they've created such vast amounts of homelessness that they feel bad. You know, it's like when you win, it's like Costco. They're winning so hard that they need to build housing for the losers. Like they've just won so hard that they're paying everyone an unlivable wage. Everyone's homeless, and they're just raking it in. And I think Costco just looking around, the executives are like, man, like no one's going to be able to buy food at our stores if they're homeless. So we might as well provide them with housing. I mean, that's the government. We live in a country that's run by Costco, Apple, Nvidia now with the GPUs, with AI, and Walmart and Amazon. These are the real presidents. The real presidents of America are the corporations. And, Costco, they're building 800-unit apartment complex. You know what? The hot dog is going to stay at $1.50, but you know what's not going to stay at $1.50? The 800-unit, the rents on these apartments are not going to stay constant. They're going to go up 300% a year. Everyone commends Costco for keeping their hot dog at $1.50, but they're going to create housing that is going to, the rent will increase 100% a year. It's just going to happen. I mean, but let's read more. The mixed-use complex would arise on a vacant 5-acre lot that was previously home to a hospital. That's awesome. So the hospital failed. They demolished it, and now they're gonna put in it looks like luxury housing. The plan includes a gym, multi-purpose spaces, gardens, a rooftop pool, landscaping, a large parking lot, and a room to do fentanyl. That's awesome. That's cool. It's a bunch of small units along the long hallways, from the plan, here's a reporter that said, from the plain view, it looks like an old school prison design. Huh, that's fun. Costco's building a prison. I like my prisons run by my grocery stores. I don't know about you. I don't like prisons that are run by the government. I like a prison that's run by a grocery store. In a post on X earlier this month, Cohen speculated that Costco tacked the apartment building idea onto its plan for a large storefront on the property to avoid Los Angeles's often costly and drawn out site review process. So, I mean, they're just building housing for people that are going to be just poor enough to go to Costco. That's what this is. The Costco store itself is nothing to shrug off. The storefront will be close to mass transit options and will include a multi-floor underground garage. I mean, you know, it's your choice to live in a shithole like LA. I mean, it would be your choice, but like, it's not good. There's a housing crisis across the country, and the fact that Costco feels the need to step in is fucking crazy. I mean, this is what China does. Guys, maybe China had it right the whole time. Maybe China's been doing what we should have been doing for 20 fucking years, which is to build housing for our slave labor employees. That's what we need to do. You know, the iPhone factories, you think they have homes, they go and they sleep next to the iPhone factory. That's what this Costco's doing. They're building housing for the employees of the Costco. And, we're not far away from a future where Costco says, hey, you know what? Instead of paying your rent, how about we just take it out of your salary? We're really not far away. We basically already are in a society where that happens. So maybe China had it right the whole time. Maybe capitalism never was a good idea. Maybe communism works. I know I was just in Portland. Maybe communism is the right thing to do, you know? I mean, am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But let's keep going. So there's an airliner, my least favorite airliner, and it's not Spirit Airlines. I love Spirit. God, I'm so fucking tired of hearing Spirit Airline jokes. It's a night. It's awful. You know who I'm going to go after? I'm going after Southwest Airlines. I'm going after Southwest Airlines because this is the real worst airline. With Spirit, you know what you're getting. Here's the thing. With Spirit Airlines, you know what you're getting. You're getting a shitty experience, but you're going to get to the destination and everything's going to be fine. It's going to suck. Your back is going to hurt. You're going to feel raped by Spirit Airlines, but you know it's going to happen. Southwest Airlines is much worse because they sell it to you as this like kind of mid-priced, mid-market option where you're going to have a good experience, and they fuck you just as hard as Spirit. They do. It's crazy. I mean, nothing. What in what world is it a good idea to have open fucking seating on an airplane? And not only that, you get to your boarding group is determined by how quickly you check in 24 hours before your flight. So if you have a 5 a.m. flight, you need to wake up at 5 a.m., check in for the flight at 5 a.m. to get a better boarding group so you can get a better seat on the open seating of the airplane. What kind of fucking it's a war zone. Have you ever been on Southwest and gone on the airplane and tried to find a seat? It's a fucking war zone. You're walking, people are scrambling. People are like putting bags on the seat next to them. How fucking dare you? This is what I'm mad about. How dare you go on a Southwest flight, get a seat, and reserve a seat for what? Sometimes people go on Southwest flights and they reserve a seat just so no one sits there. And then you go, hey, is that seat taken or is that for your bag? Did you buy a seat for your fucking bag? It's a war zone. And I'm very glad. This is actually some good news, guys. So and we're getting a little financial here, but just stay with me. If you don't know, I'm sorry if you already know this. You probably do if you follow the show, but there's a whole kind of industry in finance. It's a type of hedge fund investors. And what they do, they're called activist investors. And what they do is they secretly build a stake in a company over time. And then once they've grown, and these companies have billions of dollars, right? And what they do is they find companies that they think are failing or that they're really fucking up, like Southwest. And they're activist investors. And I'm not, they're not activists in the same way that, like, you know, Black Lives Matter. They're not, they got a little bit more going on. So an activist investor, one of the largest, which is Elliott Management, has taken a large stake in Southwest. And what happens is when you have an activist investor that has that sort of large when they own 5 or 6% of the company, all of a sudden they can start to have some fucking pull. So they can start to hold elections and have one of their people join the board. And, you know, it's all very exciting. And I like it. I'm glad. So let's read more. So Southwest Airlines has adopted a, quote, poison pill following activist investor Elliott Management after they took a significant stake in the company. So, excuse me. So basically, Southwest is trying to counteract this activist investor, and all they want to do is make Southwest a better airline and maybe get the CEO fired and executed. That's all they want. I want that too. So, I mean, so let's read deeper. Southwest said that it adopted the rights plans due to several concerns, including Elliott's 11% stake in the company and the flexibility that the firm has to acquire an even greater percentage of the company. So let's take a look here. So basically, there's this hedge fund, and they bought a $2 billion stake in Southwest, and they're trying to force out the CEO of the airline, which I think is a great fucking idea. I mean, Southwest is a company that should have died during COVID, but the government bailed it out, which is a horrible mistake. All these government bailouts during COVID, people just like glossed over that. They literally got billions of dollars of taxpayer money and no one gave a fuck. But it's like a zombie. I mean, literally all of Southwest's software, its infrastructure is from the fucking 90s. And everything that the company does is just a step in the wrong direction. Whenever I fly Southwest, I literally almost consider committing suicide. That's how bad the experience is. Like, I want to blow my fucking brains out every time I'm in Group C on Southwest Airlines. You know what's better than being in Group C on Southwest Airlines? Being in like Guantanamo Bay. I'd rather be a terrorist that's being tortured in Guantanamo Bay than being Group C on a Southwest Airlines flight. It's an absolute fucking nightmare. Let's take a look here. Elliott is looking for executives from outside the company to replace CEO Robert Jordan and for significant changes on the board, including new independent directors. I mean, again, I'm very happy this is happening. I'm very glad because, you know, this is an airline. We just need more choice. These airlines need to. They have no. The real problem is this. It's just like Wall Street. The real problem is this. The airlines know that they're too big to fail. The big banks know that if Goldman or JP Morgan or Citibank or Wells Fargo, if any of these banks were to fail, they would bring down the entire financial system with it. So they don't have any sort of financial incentive to do better or to innovate or to treat customers well. They can bend the customer over a fucking barrel And then when the customers complain, they could be like, what are you going to do about it? I'm huge, motherfucker. They're just massive. And airlines are the same way, and so hopefully Elliot can stir it up a little bit. We need these motherfuckers to stir it up, because Southwest should have died a long, long fucking time ago. But anyway, that's the news. I wanna get to your questions. We have 2 questions today. Thank you very much. First question is from William. Thank you to William and Gary for always asking questions. I'm pretty sure you guys are the only 2 people that actually listen to this, so I love you. I need to find William and Gary. If you just found like 5 people each that are just like you guys, we could storm the Capitol. If you guys, William and Gary, if you guys could just do this for me, if you could just recommend the show to like 100 or 1,000 people in your friend group. I don't know if you listen to the show, I don't know if you have friends. All right, I'm just making fun of you. But thank you for the questions. William asks, in your opinion, what is the #1 greatest invention of all time? It's the fleshlight. That's not even a question. Some people say the wheel. Some people might say the ballpoint pen. Some people might say the airplane. It's clearly the fleshlight. There's no other product in my life that I use more than my fleshlight. And I don't even use it for sexual pleasure. I really don't. I use it as a telescope. I cut the other half. I cut the fleshlight in half, and I put a telescopic lens on the end of my fleshlight, and I use it as a telescope to look at the sky. And that, I would say, is the greatest invention of all time. That's #1. #2, I would say is the AR-15, brother. The AR-15, brother. The automatic AR-15, brother, with the dual action, with a fucking red laser dot scope and a heat-seeking full metal jacket bullets, brother. That's the best invention. I don't know. My serious answer, I don't know, William. I don't know what the best invention of all time. There's so many amazing things. You know what the best invention is of all time? It was the bullet that entered JFK's skull. No, it was probably the domestication of the horse. I think the best invention of all time is the war horse. It would have. I do. You know how people are like, oh man, I should have been born in the 1970s, the 1980s. I wish I was born in the 1480s. I wish I was born in a time where like the war horse was just starting to become like in vogue, and like I had a war horse, and like I was just riding around on the battlefield, and everyone else was like, whoa, that guy's got a fucking horse. That's so cool. Horse armor. Actually, no. The best invention of all time is Minecraft. That's actually my real answer. My real autistic loser answer is it's Minecraft. That game got me through my parents' divorce, and they're not even divorced. That game will get me through my parents' divorce when they eventually do divorce. But thanks for the question, William. Venmo me, request me $5. By the way, if you ask a question, I give you $5. So join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Sean's show, if you want to ask a question. So thank you for the question, William. $5 to you. Gary asks, when did you leave the astronauts? Why did you leave the astronauts stranded in space, and why is it their own fault? Well, they were talking back to me, Gary. They were giving me lip. And when you give me lip, bad things happen. I'm a very nice guy. But when you start to give me lip, they were like, we're hungry. I'm like, fuck you. So, because if you don't, Gary knows, I don't know if you know this, I have a job at NASA, and I do work very closely with the ISS. And if you don't know, a lot of the astronauts that were supposed to come back on a Boeing vessel, or Boeing was somehow involved, and the astronauts got stuck. And Gary's asking, why did I leave them stuck in space? And Gary, it actually wasn't really my fault. It was sort of a lot of moving parts. And I think what we do is we continue to look at like different situations and different ways that we can solve the problem. But I mean, it's really important that like that we're on TikTok and we're reaching young people. That's really important. I'm saying this as like all the astronauts are suffocating. Like the astronauts are like eating each other, and I'm like, look, Gary, it's like really important that we're on Instagram and we're posting vertical reels, because that's how young people consume content. And so it's not very pop, and like the astronauts are like suffocating. They're like, I'm sorry. And they're like trying to like write messages to their loved ones before they suffocate and die. And I'm like, look, Gary, I mean, like, we have a large following on TikTok, and we want to get young people inspired by what we do. And like science there's so much to do. And there's like, and then the astronauts are just like committing suicide, that they're eating cyanide pills. So that's my answer. They deserved it because they talked back to me. And that's why I left them there. As a message to the next generation of astronauts that go to the ISS, they'll know better. Actually, that's another interesting adjacent story in the space industry. I believe it was SpaceX. So this is a good, interesting story. SpaceX just won I believe it was an $800 million contract to bring down the ISS. And I was like, surely Boeing could do that for cheaper. That's like their number one thing, is bringing stuff down now. Why are us taxpayers giving SpaceX $800 million when Boeing could do it for probably $1 million? Just send one of their planes into space and bring it down. What's the problem here? The incompetence of the government bureaucracy and the space oligopoly is truly unimaginably huge. And a simple solution, that's what Boeing's good at. Boeing should get out of the airplane manufacturing business, and they should just get into the business of demolishing buildings. Lean in. That's what I would do. If I was a PR person for Boeing and I was on the board of Boeing, I'd be like, guys, why are we trying to make airplanes? That's clearly not our where we're going to be successful. It's just not. That's where we used to find success. Not anymore. What if we started to win contracts where we demolish buildings by crashing the planes into these buildings? Take inspiration from 9/11, except do it on purpose. You know what I mean? Get a Christian radicalist and crash them into the buildings. That's how I would try to get Boeing out of the rut they're in. But that's just me. So thanks for your questions. If you so choose, you can ask a question. Link is in the description of the YouTube video, guys. I would really love it if you join the Facebook group. I'm trying to make it more of a fun, again, I keep saying this, but let's make it more of a conversation. I know that I see you guys listening. I see the data. You don't, I'm an autistic guy. You don't think I don't look at the data for my podcast? I have over 100 divided by 100 listeners. That's one whole listener. Okay. So I see you. No, I have a lot of, I've got some listeners and I know you guys listen. Join the Facebook group. Have fun. I want to talk to you because it's more fun when you write the show for me. I'm lazy. It's not my job to plan and write the show. It's Gary's job and William's job. It's your guys' job to write the show. If I write the show, then that's super unfair to you guys who should be doing the work. At this point, William and Gary, you guys are basically the writers on the show. I have to start crediting you for asking these questions because I'm paying you to write the show. Which is the future. I'm ahead of the curve. A lot of podcasters, a lot of radio broadcasters, they put all this effort into their show. And I'm like, you guys are fucking losers. It's cringe. What you need to be doing is you need to let the fans have their voice spoken through you. I am a vessel for you. I am a French fascist. I'm a vessel for you. But let's see. I think I might end it there, guys. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I'm losing my voice, and I've got some shows this weekend that I want to make sure I have a good strong voice for. But thank you so much for listening. If you're still listening, I love you. And I would just please, for the love of fucking Christ, every time I get a new review on Spotify, I jizz my pants. It makes me very happy. So make your special boy happy. Make your special boy happy, and just leave a review of the episode of the show, Sean Show, on Spotify or any podcast platform that you might listen to the show. Reviewing it on Spotify is great. I think I have 8 reviews. Every time I see that there's a new review, it stops me from it. I pull the gun out of my mouth. I untie the noose that's around my neck. I'm on the verge of suicide. So review the show, okay? Because I have nothing. I have a beautiful girlfriend that I love very much. But other than that, I have nothing. And so do that. Join the Facebook group. Link is in the description of the podcast. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about the show, listen to it in your car, put it on. If you work at like a Sonic or a 7-Eleven, play the podcast at your Sonic or your 7-Eleven. That would really bring my heart some joy. And I'll leave you with this, my final thoughts. If you're in France, don't vote. If you're in the United States, don't vote. You don't need to vote. And you don't need to get invested in this bullshit. The only thing you need to do is vote with your time and your money by listening to Sean's show, which is the truth and the final word on everything. So, William and Gary, you guys understand that. And I'm starting a cult, and I hope that you will join, because if you don't, then when the water wars come, you're not going to have any guns or resources. So join now while I'm a nice guy. So you don't have to join when I'm a crazy dictator in the water wars of what was America and is now China too. But guys, that's our show. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week, and hail Satan. Thank you.